what inspired you to venture into music, and what are you currently working on?
My dad is also a singer, so it was something I've grown up with. There's always been music in the house, and seeing him on stage showed me that it's actually a viable thing to actually sing someone else's music or sing your own music and get paid for it. And then as I grew up, I got involved in pretty much every music thing that was out there with my school and all sorts of different things. I was quite lucky that the school I went to in England had lots of music activities. You go and sing at different theatres and cathedrals. So that was really fun. And then when I came to France, I started singing more with my dad at festivals and bars. Went out to do my own stuff in Cyprus and Corfu and Majorca, all sort of Mediterranean islands, and then decided to record my own music.
Awesome.
And it's only actually a few years later, because I started recording in 2017, 2016. And it was only when COVID hit, and I thought, you know what, I've got all this music, I might as well put it out there. Why am I keeping it in my computer?
Yeah.
Cool. That's kind of how it all, it's in very brief.
Yeah. Did you, when you started music, did you start pretty much just on vocals, or did you play an instrument? Where did that come into play?
I think I've always done vocals. I can play various instruments. At school, I always learned to play. I learned to play recorder like everybody. I don't know if it's the same in the States, but everybody in England in the 90s, you learned to play the recorder. And then I got bored of that, wanted to go to the clarinet, couldn't afford the clarinet, and bought a really big recorder. So it made a deeper sound, which is far nicer to listen to.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
So there's always something. If you can't afford the instrument, then there's always something you can go and practice on.
Yeah, so long as you're involved in the music, right? What did you start out singing? Do you have any inspirations? Who's your favorite musician?
If I don't have a most favorite musician, I don't think that's possible. I think I maybe have the my favorite ones throughout the time periods. So for my 90s, I'd probably go more Alanis Morissette, and being British, you have to put the Spice Girls in there.
Naturally.
When you go into the 80s, then maybe I'm going Queen and Elton John. And then as I go further back, I've had so many influences from my parents, but then I've got my own influences that are more a lot of country music, actually.
Awesome.
Okay.
I started listening to that in I'm going to go early 2000s, I reckon, and Dixie Chicks. And am I allowed to call them the Dixie Chicks still?
I call them the Dixie Chicks, but I think they are technically just the
they're
Chicks
the Chicks now, aren't they? And Sugarland. Love listening to that. That's always been an influence. There are so many.
That's awesome. Yeah,
we'll stick with those ones to being big influences. I think Jennifer Nettles definitely inspired a wardrobe at one point.
Cool. That's awesome. I mean,
yeah, I had the full-on Jennifer Nettles sparkly T-shirt, jeans, and boots.
Wow. That's awesome. It's cool to hear that people still like lots of different genres. I feel like we often get stuck in one genre too often. So I'm glad to hear that. Especially, you don't often hear country
really.
I mean,
around here we do.
Around here,
but I feel like once you get out of the Midwest of the U.S., then it's usually not as popular.
You go to the East or the West Coast, and it dies off quick. But right in Indiana, you got a lot of country. Is there a different genre of country in Europe compared to the States?
I would say in France, it's definitely more pop country. So
Okay.
you've got more. You're going to go more Shania Twain. If you're going more recent, not that it hugely recent, but they do like. They love country roads, and there are a lot of line dancing dancers out there. Like in my town, I think we have 2-3 groups of dancers just for line dancing. So, and it's in the middle of nowhere, so it kind of gives you an idea out of the whole of France that it's quite popular. And then in England, I think there's more of more of a range of country. But give me Brad Paisley, and I'm quite happy.
There you go.
Sounds good to me. Yeah. You mentioned that you traveled a lot to sing, especially in the Mediterranean, right? And
yes,
how that's got to be fun, but it's also got to be a little stressful. So how does that play into your musical endeavors and your inspiration on what you write?
It's not.
Is that a
stressful.
big contributor? Not stressful?
Really?
No, it's not stressful. You're on an island in the Mediterranean, and in the daytime, some of them it was only nighttime work. So in the day, you're going around visiting the island, and you go back to wherever you are performing that night, and you, I don't know, you perform an ABBA tribute show, or you perform the Diva show, or whatever you're going to be doing in the evening. But other ones that you'd perform in the evening and maybe be looking after kids during the day, which is probably just boring.
Yeah. Huh. I didn't even think about that. I guess my mindset was you'd be just go, go, go all the time, having to do something constantly. But that's nice. It seems really fun.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, because I was entertaining in lots of hotels, you're around people that are on holiday and having fun, and your job is to make sure that they're still having fun. So you have to have fun, and it's a real drag to try and have fun all the time.
That's gotta suck.
Yeah, it's a terrible job, but someone's got to do it.
Well, good. It's glad to hear that you're having fun with it.
So you said that you moved to France. I guess at what age did you move to France?
14.
Was that stressful at all, or is it just
yeah.
as fun as it was? Okay.
I think that actually made my love of music even stronger. One, because it actually was one of my only releases. To start with, we didn't actually have our English TV back either, so it took us a while to get English TV. We have it legally.
Right.
And just to mention that before anybody starts telling me off. So it was always back to music. And at school, when your head gets really confused, so other people who aren't native speakers to wherever they're going to school, your head gets so muddled up, and that's the bit that's stressful. So music becomes a huge release for that. And also, it's a common ground between you and the other kids at school. Everybody else is listening to Adele. Everybody else is listening to all these things, and you're the English girl and knows all the words and can teach them. So it's a really good icebreaker.
Yeah, that's nice. I feel like music connects people in a lot of ways, even if it's like a language they don't speak. You just feel it. It's good like that.
Yeah, that is the coolest
There's tons
part.
of Spanish music that I have no idea what they're saying, but it's really fun to listen to.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally. So you record your own music. Do you record? It looks like you have a nice mic there. Do you record in-house?
No, I have a small studio in this room, but that's more for doing voiceovers. I've got a lot of my guitar and my piano, and I can do rough copies of music, of the backing vocals, things like that, and then I'll go to a bigger home studio to record the final product.
Awesome. Yeah, we've interviewed a few artists locally in college, and being a college student, funds are quite tight, and they're always talking about how they're trying to make things work, make schedules work, and record in house with the cheapest things possible. And it's cool to hear, even just like you have a piano and a guitar and a bass to record in house, which is fun.
I can't show you, but I've got no, I can't show you. I've got my standard mic. I'm gonna go off. My piano, one guitar. I've got a small mixing desk with 3 channels, and then I've got Audacity, which is free on your computer. You just download that. And I did actually do some vocals for my last single on all of that equipment, and it turned out really well. Usually, though, I'd go and have a different mic, make sure it's a little bit more balanced, but they do that in the mixing anyway. So me just to send the raw vocals, that was fine.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
Luckily, I have friends with bigger things.
Yeah, I like to hear the behind the scenes stuff on how the music's created. How many hours do you think you've put into your last single?
Of the actual recording?
Yeah, the whole process.
Well, to start with, I was given a rough copy because it was somebody else that wrote it. They recorded it with someone else, and it didn't turn out right. It was a lot slower, and they were sung by German people, so I had to rewrite the words. So there was that process. Then there was, okay, we want it sped up, so can you try singing it to this kind of track?
Tempo.
No, it needs to be faster. Can you do it this kind of track? And you're working out how the chorus and the verses should go, the bridge. Can you make this bit quieter? We've got a section at the end which is lots of na 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 nas, and to make that different, we're starting with quiet ones, then we're getting louder, and then we're going back to really soft ones with no harmonies. So you've got to work all those out. Does take me a few tries to actually record the final vocal, mainly because I'm really OCD about getting it just right. And then I have to record my harmonies. So I think I recorded 6 harmonies, and maybe 4 or 5 got used. So you have to work out what your different harmonies are going to be, where they're going to be placed. Should you actually be singing the same as the melody, or I don't know, singing doo-doos in the background? Sounds a bit weird if I say doo-doos, but never mind. It probably sounds worse actually in American than it does for me.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, we'll go with na-na-nas then, shall we?
I think it's a little better.
Yeah, so I would say it was 10 hours of work in the recording, if you count every little bit. And it doesn't help that the guy was in Germany and we have to keep going back and forth recording things. So probably that took a lot longer. And usually it will take more like 6 to 8 hours for recording vocals. If you've got them completely, you know exactly what you're going to do, it can be in one take. It really depends. But if that's just the recording you're going for, then yeah, one take and it can be done. But another single I released over in summer, that took ages of practice just to work out how to sing it.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea how I was going to go from really low to high and change all the notes, and I had to work on that a lot.
I was just prior to this, I was just watching a review of Led Zeppelin and is it called Bad Dog? Black Dog?
Oh, Black Dog.
Black Dog, yeah. And how hard it was for Led Zeppelin to figure out how to play their own song, which I thought was so interesting. And people have come up with so many theories about, do they make it extremely difficult so that nobody else could play it, or were they just truly struggling? And I think that's such a
Sometimes I
cool
think
thing.
it's truly struggling, but for me it was, I know that this is how I want it to sound, and I know I can do it, but how do I technically do it so that it's the easiest way? Because I can sing here and here, but ultimately I need to make sure my breath is taken at the right time, and it's sort of more of the technical aspect and how you're going to do it. How I found it so difficult to do in the first place, now I sing it all the time, I don't know. But yeah, it's sometimes not technically as easy as it sounds.
Yeah. I think it's also important for people to hear you talk about this stuff, because we only get to listen to the music for what, 2 to 4 minutes most of the time. And it is so important to know how many hours went into the work, and the art behind it. And it's impressive. So props to you.
It is.
And every artist that puts all the effort into it.
Yeah, some probably take a lot longer. Some probably can do one in a day. I've heard of bands. I think if you watch Bohemian Rhapsody, when they do, is it Real Will Rock You? I think they did, and they were just in the studio. They decided that was the beat. Hey, I'll these lyrics that could go with it. These work, and probably within an hour the whole thing was done. But
yeah,
I have a little bit more time to work it out, and they had a lot of fees for the recording studio, so it had to be done quicker.
Right.
So it all depends on your circumstances as to how much time you can put into it.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite venue to sing at, or a favorite location
That I've actually been to, or that I want to go to?
Well, both.
Yeah.
What's one you've been to, and where's somewhere you want to go?
The only one I've really done on my own actually was in January. That was the best one. And it's at a local venue, we'll go with. It's a lot of rock music and metal music actually play there, so it's more standing room, and I had to put out loads of chairs because my music's not really something you stand up and dance to. It's sort of more sit down and go, those lyrics are interesting. It's sort of more something like that, but that was really nice. The lighting was more professional. Otherwise, it's been in more bars, which can be really nice because you've got such great interaction. I usually walk out into the public and sort of say, no, you're singing this with me, or you're dancing this with me, because that's just what you're going to do. But I think you always have these dreams of playing in not maybe big festivals, but sort of the Royal Theatres, or maybe if I was a country artist, would go into the Grand Ole Opry. Hey, why not? You have these visions of going to the biggest places. If I could get to those, why not? You have to aspire to get to the top, I think.
Totally agree. Got to shoot for it.
I'm always told that how do you get to play for 10,000 people, 20,000 people? You start being able to play to 50 people and 10 people and working your way up. And if you can play to that many, then why not play to a few more and more? I think it's Elton John. He always says that he always played venues that were smaller than he knew he could get people for. And that way he knew he was going to fill the building and people would want to come because they'd missed it. So it's got that sort of psychological aspect to it.
Yeah, I never heard that from Elton John either. I did notice that he has performed in a lot of smaller venues. So
I think Ed Sheeran has done similar things.
It's sometimes the smaller venues are nicer too, because it's that like a more of an intimate crowd. You get to be the fans get to be involved, the audience gets to be involved, as well as the artists.
Yeah, in a lot of big stadiums, I always find that if you're right at the top, then whoever you're watching, it looks like a needle in the distance, and you're sometimes even looking at the big screen, so it's like watching them on the television anyway, even though you've got the atmosphere, which is pretty much what you go for. But when you have that intimate setting, then you can actually look somebody in the eye and say, I'm singing this song to you. And back to Sugarland, I actually saw them in Paris, and it was a small venue like that. So it's always nice, I think, to have the smaller venues. Yeah.
That makes me curious what your opinion on this topic would be. So you have a lot of large artists right now, Taylor Swift being one of them, that like you can listen on Spotify, you can listen on Apple Music, whatever. You could pay the crazy amounts of money to go see her. Do you think it's more worth it to be at a concert in person, even if you're in the high risers and the nosebleeds, or is it more worth it to stay home and listen to your music at that point?
I think they're very different things. I personally prefer a live performance. A lot of people sound very different when recorded to live. Some people sound better, some people sound worse. There used to be some people were miming, so it sounded the same. But it's something about the atmosphere and your concentration. If you're just listening to Spotify, you're usually doing something else. You're doing your homework, or you're cooking, or running on the treadmill, or something like that. But when you're in the concert, it's the environment. You've got someone actually performing to you, so you've got that concentration on that one thing, and that's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's sad to see people decide not to go to a concert and just to listen from home. You gotta get out there, see the artist. It's such a cool setting.
Absolutely, and it's more where the money is made for us as well.
Yes,
that's also good.
Totally.
It's definitely streaming is. I think Spotify is 0.003 cents per stream, and that's only if it's after 30 seconds of listening. And if you imagine someone's attention in the first 5 seconds, they've decided whether they like it or not. So getting up to 30 seconds can be tricky. Probably even if you're Taylor Swift.
Seriously.
Heard that song. Nope, heard that song. Oh, okay, I'll listen to this one again. So it probably is difficult for them as well. But going to see a live performance, okay, so you might pay, well, Taylor Swift, yes, you pay a hell of a lot of money. Lady Gaga, I know you pay even more money. But, you know, sometimes it's worth it. You'd pay it to go to a soccer match or an ice hockey match, whatever you prefer. I mean, even if you go to the movies, then at the moment that can actually cost you quite a lot as well. So yeah, it's a whole, you got to balance it.
Yeah, you're right. I totally agree. And that is something that I think Scott and I could both empathize with quite a bit after starting up our show here. Like the 5 seconds, the 30 seconds, the trying to get monetized in general, it's ridiculous. It's so hard. And
Yeah,
you
it's
would
tough.
think that people would have the attention span with watching shorts all day and not liking long stuff
Yeah,
anymore, but no.
but it depends. We can put out reels that are 5, 15, 20 seconds long, and I actually wrote it all down the other day. The majority of people were listening to 3 seconds, and that literally took them to me going and just about lifting to making the first note or something, and by that
Yeah.
time someone swiped up. It's literally a second and they've swiped.
Right.
So it's really difficult to capture someone's attention. I do.
Totally.
Reels are not my thing. So live is much better for me.
Yes. I agree. Cool.
And I always say if you've got a small artist, then buy some of their merch as well, because it is helping the artist to get a better recording sound or get the equipment to do something else. So it's not just buying about having the key ring. It's about supporting someone as well.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. So what are you currently working on? Where are your plans going?
Well, I'm doing 2 things. I managed to get a job as a fill-in for a country music show. A lady busted her
Awesome.
voice and then realized that she found an English person in France that knows most of the songs, and was
There you go.
smiling a lot when I met her. So that I get to do. I actually got to hear Telescope by the Nashville series, which is a new one for me. And I'm also in a competition for singer-songwriters in my local region. And on the 15th, I'm a finalist, the final 5, and we go to the final competition. So that I'm
That is awesome.
nervous yet excited about, and don't quite know what to make of it. And then I got a message from my mum's friend saying, "By the way, did you know you're in the paper this morning?" I'm like, no, nobody told me. So there's a really nice photo. Do I have it? Oh, I do have it next to me in our local paper. Hey. And they've put in, it's not even in the local. I thought it was just going to be in the, sorry. Probably sounded really bad with the mic.
Oh, you're fine.
You probably can't see all of this, but I'm just like in a top corner. And it's got all the people on it, all the 15 finalists, because there's 3 different groups. And I'm the picture at the top. So I thought that can't be bad.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then I'm working on a new song with the same guy in Germany. So I've got sort of 3 things that I'm working on at the same time.
Nice.
Some end up being short, medium, long, and you just keep building.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'll look forward to hearing how you do on the 15th.
I'll be nervous. I put up some videos. There's actually quite a cool video on my Instagram that I made up. It's part of their video with a few more photos of me. So if I did a good job, then I hope that it's okay. As I say, not great on reels, but I think it looks pretty good. And this year, of course, it's part of the Olympics, because we're having the Olympics in Paris. So
yes,
it all ends up being part of the torch bearing around France.
Oh my gosh, that's probably getting very busy.
It's less busy than you'd think. Maybe in the cities it's a bit more, but all we get is sort of posts of, by the way, your local mayor is going to be holding the flame on this date. And that's it. That's all we hear.
Huh. I am surprised by that. We've never had an Olympics around here. So we had a Super Bowl when we were really little for American football. And that's like the craziest I've seen it. Yeah. Well, cool. I bet you'll have a lot of opportunities there to sing when the Olympics comes.
Well,
have a
if
lot of
I
people
get
coming in.
past this one, then maybe. But even if I don't, then that's top 5. And I think it's not the winning necessarily. Everybody's like, yes, I want to win. Of course they are. But it's like the Oscars of just being nominated. The fact that someone thinks that your work is good enough to go against someone else, then that's definitely one to take.
Yeah, totally. And congratulations again. That's awesome to hear.
It is. So you mentioned that you liked a variety of artists from different time periods. If you could perform with any of those artists, let's say maybe at a Super Bowl halftime show, dead or alive, who would it be? Or would it be multiple artists?
I definitely want to go with Queen. That's always just
Queen?
You have to go with Queen.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think I'd be probably really nervous and about doing it with Taylor Swift. So that's a sort of I'll put it on the sideline. Not that she wouldn't be great, but I'd definitely be really nervous about that one. I'd like to sit on stage just casually with Ed Sheeran. Why not?
That'd be pretty cool.
If I went right back, it's not right back. Maybe Neil Diamond as well.
Okay.
Yeah. My dad is a huge Neil Diamond fan, and I don't know if you've seen the Jazz Singer, which is it's not a documentary, but it's a film playing himself, and a semi-biographical pick, I guess. And they do America on this really big stage, and the orchestra is just brilliant. So singing something like that with someone would be good.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We just covered Queen a few weeks ago. We like to talk about the history and the influence of large bands through history. Yeah, I think it was interesting to talk about them because you got Freddie and then all the interesting facts about Brian May and Deacon's just over there on the sideline and Roger Taylor's in the mix. But I found it very interesting that they were all educated, like secondary school, or what do you call that?
Yeah, Brian May's
university.
got a doctorate.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's an
He's
astrophysicist, right?
insane.
He is. Yeah, if you are on his Instagram, then you get loads of pictures of the moon, and they've taken some special photos of the moon for NASA, I believe.
Yeah.
Or it's not the moon, it's a star or an asteroid or something like that. I'm going to get it wrong. Which was really exciting when I saw it. But yeah, I think it doesn't matter where you've come from, whether like Queen, they're an astrophysicist,
right,
or if you're working in the supermarket, or whether I have no idea, you're a nurse, or it doesn't matter where you come from, then you can, if you can sing, you can sing. If you love music, you love music. You just have to go out there and do it.
Yeah, it's a cool outlook. I mean, they're a band, a mishmash band that truly shows people that anybody can love and perform music. So
yes,
yeah, it's cool.
And if you have, is it 4 extra teeth? I think Freddie Mercury had, that gave his mouth even more resonance. So
right,
it doesn't matter if you can call that semi-disabled if you want to. It's a band all of its own.
Yeah,
but it makes for the best voice.
It did. Still does. Still hear him quite often. Well, where can we find you? Where can the people watching find you and listen to your music?
Well, you can, if you really, really want to watch the TikTok ones, then you can go on to Victoria Simmonds music on TikTok, Whether you'll enjoy them or not, I have no idea. But the better thing to go is on Instagram at officialvictoria_music. And
Awesome.
on Facebook is Victoria Simmonds Music as well. There's links to everything. Go on to Spotify, on Apple Music, on Deezer, whatever you're listening to. You can go and see them.
Sounds great. Thank you. Well, it was very nice to meet you. And thank you for taking the time to meet with us and talk about your music and where you came from. We always find it very interesting to hear people's perspective on their art.
No, well, thank you guys for inviting me along and having to talk to me. So it's nice to get to talk to people from all around the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was cool going across the pond, if you will.
Yeah.